to the fact that this is a lie. Her journey wasn't a clean sweep of victories. She faced devastating injuries, personal health crises, and shocking defeats on the biggest stages. She lost matches she was expected to win. A lesser person might have retired or at the very least retreated into a comfortable narrative of what if. But for Serena, every fall was not an end, but an opportunity. She didn't dwell on the pain of the loss. She immediately began the work of recovery. Her discipline wasn't in winning. It was in the agonizing, unseen process of rehabbing her body, of refining her game, of sharpening her mental fortitude after every defeat. She proved that the very act of recovery is a profound act of creation, building a stronger, more resilient self with every comeback. Her unshakable purpose to be the greatest was not a matter of winning every match, but of refusing to let any single loss be the final word. She understood that a champion is not defined by the moment they fall, but by the relentless, courageous choice they make to rise again and again, proving that the real strength of a champion is found not in their wins, but in the unyielding force of their recovery. The pervasive noise of external validation, the constant pressure to maintain a perfect public image, and the subtle shame associated with failure often blur our clarity, obscuring our true vision and disconnecting us from our deepest purpose. When we are paralyzed by the fear of falling, the path forward becomes hazy, riddled with insurmountable obstacles that exist more in our minds than in reality. We become experts at identifying every reason why we can't, instead of relentlessly searching for how we can recover. To truly embrace Serena's philosophy, you must cut through this mental fog, cultivate a brutal honesty about your current situation, and illuminate a path forward with unyielding focus. Your new vision isn't a vague aspiration. It's a vivid, burning image of yourself, not as someone who never falls, but as someone who masters the art of recovery. Think of the immense pressure Serena faced throughout her career, particularly as she chased her 24th Grand Slam title to tie the all-time record. She came agonizingly close, reaching multiple finals only to fall short. The media and the public relentlessly focused on these losses, framing them as failures. But for Serena, her mindset was one of pure, unadulterated recovery. Her purpose to equal the record was a powerful catalyst, but her true vision was in the journey itself, in the relentless discipline of getting back on the court, of training harder, of refining her game, and of confronting the immense psychological pressure. Her actions in those moments were a masterclass in resilience, a defiant refusal to let the narrative of a loss become the story of her career. She showed us that a champion isn't defined by the number on the trophy, but by the fire that ignites after a defeat. She proved that true greatness is not about avoiding a fall, but about the strength, the grace, and the unwavering conviction to stand up, dust yourself off, and continue the fight. This kind of intense focus, this unwavering dedication, is the antidote to the paralysis of failure. It channels all your emotional energy, all your mental resources away from dwelling on what went wrong and towards relentlessly building what's right. When you become actively engaged in the process of recovery, of rebuilding, of striving, there's simply no mental space left for the corrosive indulgence of self-pity or the fear of failure. Every setback becomes a puzzle to solve. Every loss, a piece of vital learning, pushing you closer to your ultimate aim. The very act of focusing outward on a purpose greater than your immediate pain is a profound liberation, demonstrating that your internal power is not extinguished by trauma, but rather refined and amplified by it. The modern world often encourages a superficial form of emotional expression, where vulnerability can sometimes morph into an endless performance of personal suffering, while acknowledging pain is crucial for healing. Dwelling there indefinitely, allowing it to become a permanent state, prevents us from building true resilience. Resilience isn't about ignoring your wounds. It's about acknowledging them, learning from them, and then with fierce determination, transforming them into fuel for your ascent. The fear of falling is a heavy anchor dragging you down, preventing you from adapting to new realities and seizing new opportunities. But to truly embody Serena's philosophy is to cut that anchor, to embrace the raw, unfiltered truth of your situation, and to channel your emotional energy into active problem solving and proactive growth. This is where genuine adaptability is born, forged in the fires of discomfort and uncertainty. Think of the immense strength required by Serena to come back from a life-threatening pulmonary embolism after the birth of her daughter. It was a fall of a different kind, a physical crisis that threatened not just her career, but her very life. The conventional wisdom might have been for her to retire, to focus on her health and her family, to accept that her body could no longer handle the demands of elite tennis. But her mindset was one of unyielding recovery. Her unwavering purpose was to not only survive, but to return to the sport she loved. This profound commitment to her own health and her own dreams fostered an unparalleled resilience. She faced a grueling, painful recovery, and then the monumental challenge of returning to peak physical form. Her journey was fraught with setbacks and disappointments, but she never surrendered to the narrative of an ending. Her story is a living testament to the truth that a fall can be physical, emotional, or professional, but the core of the recovery is always the same, a fierce, primal decision to get back up. And in that crucible of relentless courage, a profound sense of gratitude emerged. Not gratitude for the crisis itself, but gratitude for the raw, untamed strength discovered within, for the new life she was given, for the opportunity to continue her journey. This gratitude, hard-won and deeply felt, became an unshakable source of strength, rooting her in the present and fueling her determination. It's the realization that even in the darkest moments, there is something to be thankful for, some small ember of hope to nurture. This recover when you fall philosophy fundamentally shifts your relationship with difficulty. You stop seeing obstacles as reasons to stop and start seeing them as opportunities to discover untapped strength as crucial steps in the journey of transformation. Your willingness to lean into the discomfort, to push past the fear of falling, is what ultimately differentiates those who simply survive from those who truly thrive, who emerge from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more powerfully aligned with their purpose. The insidious cycle of fearing failure often creates a narrative of stagnation, preventing us from embracing continuous learning and personal evolution. When we believe that our falls are permanent, we stop looking for solutions, stop seeking new knowledge, and stop engaging with the world in a way that fosters growth. This limits our adaptability and keeps us trapped in a static, unchanging existence defined by past wounds. But to truly embrace Serena's philosophy is to liberate your mind for relentless learning, to embrace every experience, even the most painful, as a profound lesson. It's about cultivating an insatiable curiosity for solutions, for personal growth, for new pathways forward. Think of the profound learning Serena undertook throughout her career, particularly as the game and her opponents evolved. She wasn't just a powerful hitter, she was a brilliant strategist, constantly adapting her game, learning new techniques, and refining her mental approach. After a defeat, she didn't just brood. She and her team would meticulously analyze the match, dissecting what went wrong, identifying weaknesses, and developing new strategies. Her unwavering belief in her ultimate vision propelled her forward. Her recover when you fall approach manifested as relentless learning from every mistake, every misstep. She demonstrated that the deepest wisdom is often found not in comfort, but in the crucible of adversity. This profound commitment to learning and adaptability, born from a fierce refusal to surrender to the finality of a fall, is what unlocks true innovation and lasting success. When you are truly committed to moving forward, when your focus is on what you can learn rather than what you lost, your mind becomes a powerful engine of possibility. You start to see solutions where others see only problems, opportunities where others see only defeat. The energy previously consumed by the fear of falling is now channeled into proactive action, into building, creating, and evolving. This isn't about being emotionally detached, it's about being strategically engaged, using your emotions as a compass, not a cage. It's about accepting that falling is a natural part of the human experience, but that it is never a strategy for building the life you deserve. It's about understanding that the path to a truly fulfilling existence is paved not with easy victories, but with hard-won resilience, born from the relentless decision to choose courage over comfort and forward motion over stagnation. So if you've been living in the shadow of your past, if the fear of falling has become a familiar yet suffocating blanket, hear this truth, etched into the very fabric of Serena Williams' unparalleled legacy. Your falls do not define you. Your recovery does. Your pain is real. Your struggles are valid, but your potential is infinite. The story of your past is simply that, a story. Your future is unwritten, waiting for you to wield the pen. Embrace the fierce mindset that declares, my falls are not failures. They are the genesis of my greatest triumphs. Cultivate an unshakable belief in your inherent capacity to heal, to rebuild, to rise, knowing that your internal power is boundless. Seek clarity not in dwelling on what was, but in envisioning what can be, and then ruthlessly pursuing it. Let your profound vision and deepest purpose be the blazing stars that guide you, consuming any shadows of self-doubt. Embrace discipline as your greatest ally, the consistent, unapologetic choice to show up for yourself, to do the uncomfortable work, to take the necessary action day after relentless day. Cultivate gratitude for the raw strength you discover within yourself, for the wisdom gained through hardship, for the scars that tell your story of survival and triumph, and for the sheer privilege of being able to choose every single moment to move forward. Build adaptability by training your mind to embrace change, to pivot with purpose, and to innovate under pressure, making flexibility your superpower, and commit to lifelong learning, recognizing that every obstacle, every moment of discomfort is a classroom designed to make you stronger, wiser, and more capable. Constantly expanding your boundaries and pushing the limits of what you thought possible. The world doesn't need a flawless hero. It needs a real one. It needs you. It needs the extraordinary person you're capable of becoming, forged in the crucible of your falls. Your greatest triumphs, your deepest healing, your most profound fulfillment await you on the other side of that courageous decision to recover. It's time to stop fearing the fall and start mastering the comeback. The journey begins now. Or as Stephen Hawking said, that look up at the stars and not down at your feet. There is a natural, almost gravitational pull that happens after we've been broken by trauma, battered by loss, or blindsided by unforgiving setbacks. We become consumed by the terrain right in front of us, the jagged, painful ground of our past, the stumbling blocks of our current circumstances, the difficult, exhausting steps of our day-to-day survival. We spend so much time looking down at our feet, making sure we don't trip again, that we forget there is an entire universe above us. This is the myth of a life lived in reaction, a subtle, insidious poison, because it convinces us that our greatest struggle is simply to survive the next moment. We become so focused on not falling that we forget how to fly. But what if the profound, liberating truth, as Stephen Hawking so simply and powerfully articulated, is the exact opposite? What if your circumstances, no matter how difficult, are not your entire reality? What if the simple conscious act of looking up, of seeking something bigger than your immediate pain, is the first and most powerful step towards a new kind of healing, a new kind of freedom? His iconic quote isn't a passive platitude about astronomy. It's a defiant roar against the lie that our suffering is all there is. It's a radical call to arms, a demand that you expand your perspective beyond your immediate pain. And remember the vast, infinite possibilities that still exist. This isn't just a philosophy for physicists, it's a profound, soul-awakening truth for anyone who has ever felt too broken, too scared, or too inadequate to begin. It's the understanding that the greatest tragedy isn't the wound itself, but the refusal to use it as a catalyst for a greater, more meaningful life. This demands a radical shift in mindset, moving from a passive resignation to a fierce, unrelenting belief in the power of your own vision, knowing that your greatest triumphs are often built on the very ground where you chose to look up. For too long, we've allowed our past to define us, to become the heaviest chain around our ankles, preventing us from stepping into the boundless possibilities of who we can be. We become architects of our own stagnation, building mental prisons out of regret and self-pity. We tell ourselves, I can't possibly recover from this, or my story is too messy, or my pain is too great to overcome. These aren't genuine truths. They are carefully constructed excuses designed to protect us from the vulnerability of healing and the discomfort of transformation. But every moment you spend in this state of suspended animation, you deny yourself the very experiences that would build your confidence, hone your skills, and ultimately lead you towards your desired future. This is about cultivating an unshakable belief, not in a magic solution, but in your own inherent untapped capacity for resilience and transformation. It's the kind of belief that understands that true power lies in the internal choice to move forward, even when every external signal tells you to retreat. The story of Stephen Hawking isn't just about his genius, it's about the decades of unseen, relentless effort and sacrifice that preceded them. He was a man who, at the age of 21, was diagnosed with a motor neuron disease that would gradually paralyze his entire body. A lesser person might have taken that as a definitive sign to quit, to accept that his lot in life was simply to suffer, not to thrive. But for Hawking, his hardships were a profound crucible for his legendary discipline and his unwavering determination. He channeled the pain and the hunger of his past into an insatiable hunger to understand the universe, to create a world where his mind could be free even when his body was a prison. He proved that true genius isn't an innate gift you are born with, but the relentless, unexcused pursuit of a higher calling, a fierce refusal to accept anything less than his absolute best. He chose to believe that the difference between a life of defeat and a life of victory was not his circumstances, but his willingness to use his own story as a source of power. He chose to heal not just for himself, but for the world, proving that the only real obstacle is the one you allow yourself to believe in, the one born from a lack of determination. The pervasive noise of external validation, the constant pressure to maintain a perfect public image, and the subtle shame associated with our past often blur our clarity, obscuring our true vision and disconnecting us from our deepest purpose. When we are paralyzed by the fear of being seen for who we are, with all our scars and imperfections, the path forward becomes hazy, riddled with insurmountable obstacles that exist more in our minds than in reality. We become experts at identifying every reason why we can't, instead of relentlessly searching for how we can. To truly embrace Hawking's philosophy, you must cut through this mental fog, cultivate a brutal honesty about your current situation, and illuminate a path forward with unyielding focus. Your new vision isn't a vague aspiration, it's a vivid, burning image of yourself, not as someone who has never been broken, but as someone who has masterfully transformed their wounds into wisdom. Think of the immense pressure Hawking faced throughout his career, particularly during the early days of his show. He came agonizingly close to being fired, to being canceled, to having his show fail. He was a man in a man's world, a black woman in a predominantly white industry, and he was fighting against a tidal wave of skepticism and prejudice. But for Hawking, his mindset was one of pure, unadulterated recovery. His purpose to liberate his people was a powerful catalyst, but his true vision was in the journey itself, in the relentless discipline of getting back to the drawing board, of training harder, of refining his designs, and of confronting the immense psychological pressure of a devastating loss. His actions in those moments were a masterclass in resilience, a defiant refusal to let the narrative of a loss become the story of his career. He proved that a true champion isn't defined by the number on the trophy, but by the fire that ignites after a defeat, by the unyielding commitment to keep fighting for a dream, no matter how long it takes. This kind of intense focus, this unwavering dedication is the antidote to the paralysis of failure. It channels all your emotional energy, all your mental resources away from dwelling on what went wrong and towards relentlessly building what's right. When you become actively engaged in the process of recovery, of rebuilding, of striving, there's simply no mental space left for the corrosive indulgence of self-pity or the fear of failure. Every setback becomes a puzzle to solve. Every loss a piece of vital learning, pushing you closer to your ultimate aim. The very act of focusing outward on a purpose greater than your immediate pain is a profound liberation, demonstrating that your internal power is not extinguished by trauma, but rather refined and amplified by it. The siren song of comfort often leads us to avoid the very discomfort necessary for growth and healing. We seek the path of least resistance, convincing ourselves that ease will lead to success, when in reality it often leads to stagnation and a perpetuation of old patterns. But to truly embody Hawking's philosophy, you must embrace the uncomfortable, a fearless confrontation with the very things you've been excusing yourself from. This kind of courageous engagement fosters unshakable resilience. Resilience isn't a passive trait, it's an active process forged in the crucible of discomfort, hardened by the consistent decision to lean into challenges rather than retreat from them. It's the muscle that develops when you consistently choose courage over comfort, effort over ease. Consider the immense strength required to come back from profound disappointment, as Hawking did after the failures of his early companies like China Pages. The conventional wisdom might have been for him to retire, to focus on his other ventures, just to accept that his dreams were too big, too audacious. But his internal mindset was one of pure effort and commitment. He had a deep primal gratitude for the opportunity to push himself, to keep fighting for a dream that was bigger than himself. This gratitude was not for the failures themselves, but for the raw capacity to endure, to learn from every mistake, to get up every single morning and choose to fight again. He didn't dwell in self-pity. He embraced the uncomfortable reality of his new path. And in that process, he developed an unparalleled mental toughness and a renewed hunger that ultimately led him to a series of stunning victories, including his ultimate goal of becoming a global media mogul. He proved that even a history of failures, even a devastating loss, can be a profound part of a greater journey, a necessary crucible for forging the strength required to reach the ultimate prize. This turn your wounds into wisdom philosophy fundamentally shifts your relationship with difficulty. You stop seeing obstacles as reasons to stop and start seeing them as opportunities to discover untapped strength, as crucial steps in the journey of transformation. Your willingness to lean into the discomfort, to push past the fear of impossibility, is what ultimately differentiates those who simply hope from those who truly thrive, who emerge from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more powerfully aligned with their purpose. The insidious nature of the fear of failure is that it creates a comfortable cage, limiting our adaptability and preventing us from evolving. We become rigid, resistant to change, because change often demands stepping into the unknown, a place where effort is not only possible but likely. But to truly embody Hawking's philosophy is to embrace relentless adaptability. It's about cultivating an internal compass so strong, a sense of purpose so unshakable that you can navigate any terrain, adjust to any shift, and innovate beyond any obstacle, transforming challenges into opportunities. Your willingness to shed old fears and embrace new risks, unburdened by the paralysis of what if it's too hard, becomes your greatest competitive advantage. This fierce commitment to growth fuels a relentless drive for learning. Every setback isn't a defeat. It's a lesson, a puzzle to be solved, a new skill to acquire. Every moment of discomfort becomes a classroom, pushing you to expand your knowledge, refine your strategies, and deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. Think of the evolution of Hawking's show from a simple talk show to a global media empire. He didn't simply rely on his initial vision, he embodied the fierce commitment to learning and adaptability, constantly refining his approach, driven by an unyielding purpose to connect with people on a deeper level. His turn your wounds into wisdom philosophy manifested not just in her spectacular interviews, but in his unselfish dedication to her training, her tireless work off the ball, her dedication to the team. She was willing to sacrifice personal glory for collective success, understanding that the ultimate dream required a different kind of effort, a different kind of work hard for it. This unyielding dedication, this profound immersion in his craft, cultivates a wisdom that can only come from direct, intense, and sustained engagement with your chosen domain. When you truly internalize the turn your wounds into wisdom philosophy, you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them one arduous, intentional step at a time. Your actions become infused with a purposeful intensity, a quiet power born from the understanding that progress is always earned, never given. It's the fearless acceptance that the most profound triumphs often arise from the most unlikely starting points, when fueled by an uncompromising will to simply put in the effort and make the sacrifices required. So if you felt the crushing weight of past trauma, if loss has left you feeling hollow, or if major setbacks have convinced you that your moment has passed, hear this truth etched into the very fabric of Stephen Hawking's unparalleled legacy: your wounds are not your weakness. They are the source of your deepest wisdom, your greatest strength, your most profound power. Your past does not own your future. Your current circumstances are not your permanent address. The only thing standing between you and the life you yearn to live is the courage to believe, the willingness to fight even when the outcome is uncertain. Embrace the fierce mindset that declares my success is my responsibility and I will earn it. Cultivate an unshakable belief in your inherent capacity to heal, to rebuild, to rise, knowing that your internal power is boundless. Seek clarity not in waiting for a guaranteed outcome, but in the deliberate, courageous act of stepping forward into the unknown, allowing your path to illuminate itself with each committed step, driven by an unyielding vision of your highest self. Let your profound purpose be the blazing sun that melts away all doubts and illuminates every path forward, consuming any shadows of regret or hesitation. Embrace discipline as your greatest ally, the consistent, unapologetic choice to show up for yourself, to do the uncomfortable work, to take the necessary action day after relentless day. Cultivate gratitude for the raw strength you discover within yourself, for the wisdom gained through hardship, for the scars that tell your story of survival and triumph, and for the sheer privilege of being an active participant in your own magnificent comeback. Build adaptability by training your mind to embrace change, to pivot with purpose, and to innovate under pressure, making fluidity your ultimate strength, and commit to lifelong learning, recognizing that every obstacle, every moment of discomfort is a classroom designed to make you stronger, wiser, and more capable, constantly expanding your boundaries and pushing the limits of what you thought possible. The world doesn't need your hesitation. It needs your heroic action. It needs your effort. It needs the extraordinary person you are capable of becoming. Your greatest triumphs, your deepest healing, your most profound fulfillment await you on the other side of that courageous decision to turn your wounds into wisdom. It's time to stop wishing and start earning. The journey begins now.
The human heart, in its deepest chambers, often holds the silent weight of what's been lost, what's broken, what feels irredeemable. It is an invisible burden, a persistent echo of scarcity, a void we sometimes try to fill with everything but what's truly needed. We navigate life carrying unseen scars, unnamed losses, and a vague sense that something is incomplete. And it is in this space between loss and recovery, in this very moment of fragility and vulnerability, that an extraordinary power awaits discovery. When eating an elephant, take one bite at a time. This ancient wisdom, attributed to everyone from African proverbs to American military strategists, isn't about the act of devouring, it's about the profound understanding of overwhelm and the powerful antidote to its paralyzing grip. It speaks to the colossal challenges we face, the towering grief, the mountain of debt, the seemingly insurmountable wall of despair that trauma erects. And it whispers a simple yet revolutionary truth. The only way through is one deliberate, intentional act at a time. It tells us that even the most daunting tasks become manageable when broken into their smallest, most digestible components. This isn't a strategy for tackling a business project. It's a blueprint for navigating the very landscape of your life, especially when that landscape feels shattered and unrecognizable. It's an invitation to shift your focus from the enormity of what's missing or what's broken to the profound significance of the single small step you can take right here, right now. It is in this microscopic focus, this singular act of choosing forward motion, that the seeds of gratitude begin to germinate, often in the most unlikely of soils. We often mistakenly believe that gratitude is a byproduct of perfect circumstances, a luxury reserved for those untouched by hardship. We imagine it as a sunny disposition that only appears when everything aligns, when the stars are in perfect constellation. But the deeper truth, the one that can truly transform the architecture of your internal world, is that gratitude is a catalyst, not a consequence. It's not something you find only when you feel good. It's something you cultivate to feel good, to rebuild, to find light in the deepest shadows. Consider Viktor Frankl, a man who endured the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, yet emerged to write man's search for meaning. He discovered, in the most desolate of environments, that even in the face of unspeakable suffering, human beings could find pockets of meaning, moments of connection, glimpses of beauty, a sunset, a shared crust of bread, a kind word. His survival, in part, was fueled by his ability to identify and cling to these minuscule embers of hope, to find something, anything, to be grateful for amidst the absolute absence of everything. He understood that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we retain the inviolable freedom to choose our attitude towards them. That choice, to seek out and acknowledge the good, however small, is the very bedrock of a resilient spirit. This isn't about denial or forced positivity. It's about a radical commitment to acknowledging reality, even its harshest facets, while simultaneously seeking out and amplifying the threads of light, the whispers of life that persist. It's about recognizing that even in the deepest winter, the promise of spring still resides within the seed. This deliberate cultivation of gratitude begins with a profound shift in mindset. It's moving from a default setting of scarcity and lack, a constant inventory of what's gone or what's wrong, to an active pursuit of abundance, a deliberate accounting of what is right, what is present, what is good. This isn't about ignoring pain. It's about expanding your perspective to include the full spectrum of your experience. Imagine a magnifying glass. When we're caught in the grip of sorrow or frustration, that lens often zeroes in on the single imperfection, the one flaw, the overwhelming deficit. Gratitude, however, asks you to widen that lens, to pull back and see the broader picture, to notice the intricate tapestry of your existence, even with its frayed edges and torn threads. It's acknowledging the shattered vase. Yes. But also noticing the strength of the table it sits on, the warmth of the sun streaming through the window, the quiet hum of your own breath. This expanded view leads directly to a deeper sense of belief. belief in the inherent goodness that still exists, belief in your own capacity to heal, and belief in the possibility of a future that holds more than just echoes of the past. Think about Abraham Lincoln, a man whose life was a prolonged testament to resilience amidst unimaginable grief and political strife. He faced personal tragedies that would crush most: the loss of children, the mental anguish of his wife, the burden of a nation tearing itself apart. Yet, through it all, he held on to a profound belief in the Union, in the ultimate triumph of justice, and in the enduring spirit of the American people. His ability to lead, to inspire, to unite stemmed not from an absence of suffering, but from his capacity to hold on to a larger vision, to find moments of purpose and meaning, even in the darkest hours. He didn't deny the immense suffering. He simply refused to let it be the only thing he saw. His belief was sustained by a deep well of gratitude for the ideals he fought for the sacrifices made, and for the unwavering courage of those who stood beside him. This isn't a passive belief, it's an active, daily commitment to finding the evidence, however small, that supports a more hopeful narrative. It's the conscious decision to feed the wolf of hope, rather than the wolf of despair. And as you actively seek out these moments of gratitude, no matter how tiny, you begin to rewire your brain to sculpt new neural pathways that favor optimism and resilience. This isn't a magical cure, it's a deliberate, scientific process of shifting your internal landscape, one conscious thought at a time. This shift, from deficit to abundance, from despair to discovery, is the quiet revolution that unfolds within. From this foundation of a grateful mindset and a fortified belief emerges profound clarity. When you intentionally focus on what you possess rather than what you lack, the fog of overwhelm begins to dissipate, and the path forward becomes less obscured. It's as if the act of gratitude polishes the lens through which you view your life, allowing you to see opportunities and possibilities that were previously invisible. We often associate clarity with grand epiphanies, sudden bolts of lightning that illuminate our true purpose. But for those navigating the aftermath of deep emotional wounds, clarity often comes in quiet whispers, in the gentle unfolding of insight that arises from a space of present moment appreciation. It's the clarity that allows you to discern what truly matters, to shed the burdensome weight of external expectations, and to align your actions with your deepest values. This refined clarity then naturally gives birth to a clearer vision, not a grand, unrealistic fantasy, but a deeply personal, achievable vision for what a fulfilling life can look like, even with its imperfections and scars. Consider Walt Disney, whose vision for an amusement park wasn't just about rides and entertainment. It was about creating a place where families could share joy, where imagination could flourish, where problems could be forgotten for a few magical hours. He didn't start with a fully formed Disneyland. He started with a desire to create a space that evoked happiness, a desire born from his own childhood experiences and his deep understanding of human yearning. His relentless pursuit of that vision, despite numerous financial setbacks and dismissive critics, was fueled by an unwavering belief in the value of the experience he was creating. His ability to persist, to innovate, to inspire an entire team stemmed from a clarity of purpose that transcended mere profit. And this purpose, this vision, was continually nourished by a deep gratitude for the creative process itself, for the talented individuals who joined his journey, and for the joy his creations brought to millions. For you, this vision might not be a theme park. It could be a vision of internal peace, of healthier relationships, of meaningful work that aligns with your values. It could be a vision of simply waking up each day with a sense of quiet contentment. And the pathway to this vision is paved with consistent acts of gratitude for each small step taken, each moment of progress, each breath drawn in conscious awareness. It is in this conscious appreciation of the present that the future truly begins to reveal itself, not as an abstract dream, but as an attainable reality. This clarity and vision, anchored by gratitude, naturally ignite a powerful sense of purpose. Purpose isn't about finding your place in some grand cosmic plan. It's about understanding how your unique experiences, your gifts, and even your wounds can serve as a catalyst for something meaningful in your own life and potentially in the lives of others. When you appreciate the journey, even its most arduous stretches, you begin to see the inherent wisdom woven into the fabric of your experiences, the very challenges you've faced, the resilience you've cultivated, the empathy you've developed through your struggles. These become invaluable assets, not liabilities. This understanding then fuels discipline, not as a rigid, joyless obligation, but as a devoted commitment to tending the garden of your soul. It's the discipline of choosing thoughts that uplift you, of engaging in practices that nourish your spirit, and of taking consistent, intentional action that moves you closer to your vision. Think of someone like Helen Keller, blind and deaf from an early age. Her world could have been one of utter darkness and silence. Yet, through the relentless discipline of learning, fueled by an extraordinary purpose, she broke through those barriers. Her gratitude for Anne Sullivan, her teacher, for every word learned, for every concept grasped, transformed her world and allowed her to become a beacon of hope and inspiration for millions. Her life wasn't about overcoming disability. It was about demonstrating the boundless capacity of the human spirit when ignited by purpose and sustained by an unyielding commitment to learning and connection. She didn't just survive, she thrived. Her life a testament to the profound power of human connection and the transformative force of gratitude for the smallest insights. For someone navigating the profound depths of trauma recovery, discipline might look like a consistent meditation practice, a daily journaling habit, or the courage to engage in difficult conversations that lead to healing. Action then becomes less about monumental leaps and more about these consistent, gentle steps, each one an affirmation of your commitment to yourself, your healing, and your evolving purpose. It's the discipline of showing up for yourself, even when you don't feel like it, because you understand that your future self is depending on your present choices. Every act of choosing gratitude, every intentional step, builds momentum, creating a powerful current that carries you forward. Even through the most turbulent waters, this consistent action, propelled by gratitude and purpose, creates a profound sense of adaptability. When you are anchored in appreciation for the present moment, for the simple fact of your existence, you become less rigid in the face of change. You learn to flow with life's currents rather than fighting against them. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means developing a heightened awareness that allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively to the inevitable shifts and surprises life throws your way. The unexpected detour is no longer a catastrophe, but an opportunity for a new perspective, a different route that might lead to an even richer destination. This dynamic adaptability then strengthens your inherent resilience. Resilience, in this context, isn't about simply enduring hardship. It's about transforming it. It's the capacity to integrate your experiences, both joyful and painful, into a richer, more profound understanding of yourself and the world. It's the profound realization that the cracks in your foundation, far from weakening you, have allowed a new kind of light to enter. Consider the words of Maya Angelou, a woman who knew profound trauma and systemic injustice, yet whose life became a radiant testament to resilience and wisdom. She spoke tirelessly about the power of gratitude, even for the smallest blessings, and her ability to weave her pain into powerful narratives that healed and inspired others. Her resilience wasn't about forgetting her past. It was about transforming it into a source of strength, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to joy. She adapted to countless challenges, always finding a way to learn, to grow, and to uplift. Her spirit wasn't unbroken by adversity. It was refined by it, tempered in the fires of experience. And finally, this entire journey culminates in a continuous process of learning. The more you practice gratitude, the more attuned you become to the subtle lessons embedded in every experience. You learn not just from your successes, but even more profoundly from your perceived failures, your heartbreaks, your moments of doubt. You learn about your own strength, your own vulnerabilities, and the boundless capacity of your spirit to heal and evolve. You learn to listen to the quiet wisdom of your intuition, to trust the process, and to embrace the beautifully imperfect masterpiece that is your life. The power of gratitude isn't a theoretical concept. It's a lived practice, a daily cultivation, a profound commitment to finding the light, even when the world feels dark. It is the conscious choice to water the garden of your soul, to nurture the seeds of hope, and to watch with awe as abundance blossoms in the most unexpected places. It is the ultimate act of reclaiming your power, recognizing that your internal world is your most sacred sanctuary, and that within it, you hold the key to unlocking boundless joy and unwavering peace. Begin now. The smallest spark of gratitude can ignite the most magnificent transformation. Your journey, profoundly unique and deeply sacred, is waiting for your conscious appreciation.
Charles Darwin said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one most adaptable to change." There's a moment we all face, a crossroads born of shattering loss, profound trauma, or the slow creeping realization that the life we've been living is no longer serving the soul we've become. It's the silent scream of an ending, the bitter taste of something irrevocably broken. We look back at the wreckage or stare into a future that feels like a vast, empty canvas, and the question echoes in the void: can I truly begin again? Can I gather the shattered fragments and build something new, something stronger, something that finally resonates with the deepest desires of my heart? The answer, a resounding, defiant yes, lies in a truth far older than any modern self-help philosophy, a truth articulated by Charles Darwin himself. Survival and flourishing are not about brute strength or inherent genius, but about radical adaptability. It's about the willingness to shed old skins, to learn new ways, to pivot with purpose when the world shifts beneath your feet. For those of us who have endured the crucible of life's harshest lessons, who have felt the ground crumble beneath us, this isn't just theory, it's the very blueprint for resurrection. It means that no matter how profound the loss, no matter how deep the wound, your capacity to change, to adjust, to embrace a new path remains your ultimate unconquerable power. It means that the ability to restart your life isn't a miraculous gift bestowed upon a lucky few, but a fierce primal instinct accessible to anyone willing to tap into it. This transformation begins with a profound shift in mindset, moving from clinging to what was to courageously embracing what can be. It's the defiant declaration that your story is not over. It's simply demanding a new, more powerful, more authentic chapter, one where you truly believe you can achieve anything in your life. For too long, we've allowed ourselves to be defined by our past, by the labels others have placed on us, or by the traumas that have left their indelible marks. This clinging to a fixed identity, a rigid sense of who we were or what we lost, becomes the heaviest chain around our ankles, preventing us from stepping into the boundless possibilities of who we can be. We become architects of our own stagnation, building mental prisons out of regret and fear. But the very essence of restarting your life is found in the audacious act of tearing down these walls, brick by painful brick. It's about cultivating an unshakable belief in your own inherent capacity for transformation, a conviction that your potential is not diminished by your past, but rather refined and deepened by it. That this isn't naive optimism. It's a profound, grounded trust in your own internal resources, a recognition that every wound endured has paradoxically made you stronger, more capable of empathetic understanding, more resilient in the face of future storms. Consider Abraham Lincoln, a man who, throughout his life, faced a relentless barrage of personal and professional setbacks. He experienced business failures, political defeats, the loss of his beloved mother, sister, and 3 of his 4 sons. Each setback was an opportunity for despair, for resignation. Yet, Lincoln consistently demonstrated an extraordinary capacity to restart his life, not just professionally, but internally. His mindset was one of relentless learning and adaptation. He didn't cling to past glories or wallow in past failures. Instead, he absorbed the lessons, adjusted his strategies, and continued to pursue his core purpose with unyielding dedication. His resilience was forged in the crucible of these very setbacks, allowing him to adapt to the unimaginable pressures of the Civil War. He proved that the power to reinvent yourself, to pivot in the face of devastation, is not merely possible, but necessary for greatness. His unshakable belief in the union in a greater good transcended his personal pain, enabling him to repeatedly pick himself up, dust himself off, and continue the arduous work of building a better future, one agonizing, courageous step at a time. This profound capacity to discard what no longer serves, to learn from every experience, and to relentlessly pursue a new beginning is the hallmark of those who truly achieve anything in their life. The pervasive noise of external validation, the constant comparison to others' highlight reels, and the subtle pressure to conform often blur our clarity, obscuring our true vision and disconnecting us from our deepest purpose. When we are stuck in the past or paralyzed by the fear of the future, our intentions become fragmented, our decisions hesitant, and our actions inconsistent. To truly restart your life and achieve anything, you must cultivate a ruthless clarity about what you truly desire, a clarity so profound that it cuts through the internal fog of doubt and external distractions. Your new vision isn't a vague aspiration, it's a vivid, burning image so compelling that it commands your absolute attention and unwavering commitment. Think of Henry Ford, a man who dared to challenge an entire industry with a seemingly impossible vision to build an affordable automobile for the common person. His contemporaries, steeped in the traditional craft of expensive bespoke cars, were full of reasons why his vision was unrealistic. They clung to old ways, old ideas, old excuses, but Ford, with an almost savage discipline, possessed a singular purpose that transcended conventional thinking. He didn't just have an idea, he was consumed by the intricate details of how to make it a reality. His mindset was one of constant learning and radical adaptability. He relentlessly experimented, refined, and innovated, famously saying, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently." He revolutionized manufacturing with the assembly line, not by wishing for ideal conditions, but by meticulously designing a system that would allow him to achieve anything his vision demanded. His focus was so laser sharp, so devoid of excuses, that every obstacle became a puzzle to solve, every setback a crucial piece of information. This levels of dedication, this unwavering commitment to a new beginning, despite past challenges and current resistance, is what distinguishes those who merely dream from those who profoundly transform their lives and the world around them. It is in this relentless pursuit, this unblinking focus on a new direction, that your true power resides. When you align your mindset with this fierce clarity, your actions become intentional, powerful, and deeply aligned with your deepest aspirations. You begin to magnetize the resources, the connections, and the opportunities necessary to manifest your new reality, proving that the greatest act of creation begins with a clear, unwavering vision of what you are willing to restart and what you are determined to achieve. The comfortable narrative that growth should be linear and painless, that healing is a straight line, leaves us ill-equipped for the inevitable zigzags and setbacks of life. When we stumble, when old wounds resurface, when new challenges emerge, the temptation is to retreat into old patterns, to surrender to the idea that our efforts are futile. But to truly restart your life and achieve anything, you must cultivate an unshakable resilience that embraces the messy, often brutal reality of transformation. Resilience isn't about avoiding the fall. It's about mastering the art of getting back up, stronger and wiser each time. It's the muscle that develops when you push against immense resistance, the character forged in the crucible of your deepest fears and most profound disappointments. Consider the indomitable spirit of someone like Harlan Sanders, better known as Colonel Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. He faced a lifetime of failures, setbacks, and rejected ideas before finding his true calling in his 60s. He was a steamboat pilot, a railroad fireman, an insurance salesman, and ran several failed businesses. He developed his famous fried chicken recipe, but when he tried to franchise it, he faced over 1,000 rejections. A younger man or one less determined might have surrendered to self-pity, citing age, past failures, or market indifference as insurmountable obstacles. But Colonel Sanders embodied a fierce no excuses mindset. His unwavering purpose was to share his chicken with the world. He didn't just adapt, he persevered with a relentless discipline that defied conventional wisdom. He slept in his car, cooked chicken for restaurant owners, and refused to take no for an answer. This level of radical adaptability, coupled with an unwavering belief in his product, allowed him to continually learn from each rejection, refining his pitch, and ultimately creating a global empire. His journey is a powerful testament to the truth that your starting point doesn't define your ultimate destination, and that true success is built not on an easy path, but on persistent, unyielding effort in the face of overwhelming odds. And in this journey of relentless self-reinvention, a profound sense of gratitude emerges. Not gratitude for the setbacks themselves, but gratitude for the raw, untamed strength discovered within, for the clarity forged in the crucible of adversity, for the sheer stubborn capacity of the human spirit to endure, adapt, and ultimately thrive against all odds. This kind of gratitude, hard-won and deeply felt, becomes an unshakable source of strength, rooting you in the present moment and fueling your determination to continue the journey of restarting your life and to achieve anything you set your mind to, no matter how audacious. The insidious allure of comfort zones and the fear of the unknown often prevent us from embracing the continuous learning and personal evolution necessary to truly restart our lives and achieve anything. We cling to familiar patterns, even when they no longer serve us, because the act of stepping into the unfamiliar feels too daunting. But to truly unlock your potential, you must cultivate an insatiable hunger for knowledge, a relentless curiosity that sees every challenge as a classroom, every setback as a profound lesson, and every moment of discomfort as an opportunity for growth. This is where real adaptability is forged, not in passive acceptance, but in active, engaged learning. Consider the immense journey of someone like J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was a single mother living on state benefits, facing profound personal and financial hardship. She endured countless rejections from publishers for her manuscript. She could have easily succumbed to despair, to the crushing weight of her circumstances, to the narrative of failure, but her profound purpose was to tell her story. Her vision was clear, and her discipline was in writing, even in cafes, fueled by an unwavering belief in her creation. She didn't let external circumstances define her internal reality. Her remarkable resilience was rooted in her refusal to give up, her willingness to learn from every rejection, to keep refining her craft. She demonstrated that the greatest transformations often begin at the lowest points, when all excuses are stripped away and the only path forward is the one you carve out with sheer will and persistent effort. This kind of courageous persistence, born from a fierce refusal to surrender to external circumstances, is what allows individuals to restart their lives from scratch and achieve anything they truly commit to. When you internalize this philosophy, you recognize that your past experiences, even the most painful ones, are not burdens, but invaluable data points, equipping you with unique insights and an unparalleled understanding of human nature. This allows you to approach new challenges with a wisdom that only hardship can bestow. Your capacity for action becomes infused with a deep sense of purpose because you understand the true cost of inaction and the profound liberation that comes from consistently moving forward, no matter how small the step. This relentless pursuit of personal growth, this commitment to learning from every experience, is the ultimate testament to your power to redefine your reality, to sculpt a future that aligns perfectly with your deepest aspirations, proving that you are not merely a survivor, but a true creator of your destiny. So if you've been standing at the crossroads, paralyzed by the weight of your past, if the echoes of trauma or loss have whispered that your story is over, hear this profound truth etched into the very fabric of human triumph. It is never too late to restart your life, and you can truly achieve anything you set your mind to. Your past is a chapter, not the whole book. Your current circumstances are a launching pad, not a permanent prison. The only thing standing between you and the boundless possibilities of your future is your willingness to shed the old, embrace the new, and relentlessly, courageously begin again. Embrace the courageous mindset that declares, my future is written and I am the author. Cultivate an unshakable belief in your inherent capacity for radical transformation, knowing that the deepest healing and greatest growth emerge from the willingness to start over again and again if necessary. Seek clarity not in waiting for the fog to lift, but in the deliberate, fierce act of stepping forward into the unknown, allowing your path to illuminate itself with each committed step, driven by an unyielding vision of your highest self. Let your profound purpose be the blazing sun that melts away all doubts and illuminates every path forward, consuming any shadows of regret. Embrace discipline as your greatest ally, the consistent, unapologetic choice to show up for yourself, to do the uncomfortable work, to take the necessary action day after relentless day, even when your emotions try to pull you back into the familiar past. Cultivate gratitude for the raw strength you discover within yourself, for the wisdom gained through every scar, for the lessons etched into your soul, and for the sheer privilege of being able to choose every single moment to move forward, to innovate, to thrive. Build adaptability by training your mind to embrace change as opportunity, to pivot with grace, and to innovate under pressure, making fluidity your superpower, your secret weapon in life's unpredictable currents. And commit to lifelong learning, recognizing that every obstacle, every moment of discomfort is a classroom designed to make you stronger, wiser, and more capable, constantly expanding your boundaries and pushing the limits of what you thought possible. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present, to be courageous, and to be unwavering in your pursuit of growth, to step into your power even when, especially when, the past screams for you to remain small. Your greatest triumphs, your deepest healing, your most profound fulfillment await you on the other side of that courageous decision to begin again. It's time to stop looking back and start building forward. It's time to restart your life and achieve anything in your life. The journey begins now. Jack Ma said, if you don't give up, you still have a chance. There's a dangerous delusion we often fall prey to, especially after we've been broken by trauma, battered by loss, or blindsided by unforgiving setbacks. And it's the belief that our struggles, our defeats, our seemingly insurmountable challenges are a sign from the universe that we should simply quit. We interpret every closed door, every rejection letter, every failed attempt as a final verdict on our potential. We look at the long, grueling road ahead, and a voice in our head whispers, just give up. It's not worth the pain you've already lost. This myth of the inevitable defeat is a subtle, insidious poison because it convinces us that our own pain, our own falls, our own brokenness are not part of a larger, more beautiful story, but instead a definitive verdict on our potential. But what if the profound, liberating truth, as Jack Ma so simply and powerfully articulated, is the exact opposite? What if your darkest moment isn't the end of your story, but simply the crucible where your unshakable will is forged? What if the real measure of your character isn't found in a perfect, unbroken string of victories, but in the relentless, unwavering, and courageous act of refusing to give up? His iconic quote isn't a celebration of winning, it's a defiant roar against the lie of the easy road. He said, if you don't give up, you still have a chance. This isn't just a philosophy for entrepreneurs, it's a profound, soul-awakening truth for anyone who has ever felt too broken, too scared, or too inadequate to begin. It's the understanding that the greatest tragedy isn't the loss itself, but the life unlived because we were too afraid to keep fighting for it. This demands a radical shift in mindset, moving from passive resignation to a fierce, unrelenting celebration of the effort required to simply stay in the game. For too long, we've allowed the narrative of our wounds, the sting of our setbacks, and the weight of our past to become a justification for inaction. We tell ourselves, I can't possibly keep going, I'm too damaged, or I've already tried everything, or I've already been knocked down too many times. These aren't genuine truths. They are carefully constructed excuses designed to protect us from the vulnerability of effort. But every moment you spend in this state of suspended animation, you deny yourself the very experiences that would build your confidence, hone your skills, and ultimately lead you towards your desired future. This is about cultivating an unshakable belief, not in a magic solution, but in your own inherent, untapped capacity for resilience and transformation. It's the kind of belief that understands that true power lies in the internal choice to keep going, even when every external signal tells you to retreat. The story of Jack Ma isn't just about his billions or his company, Alibaba. It's about the decades of unseen, relentless effort, sacrifice, and struggle that preceded them. He failed his college entrance exam twice. He was rejected from Harvard 10 times. He applied for 30 different jobs and was rejected from every single one, including a job at KFC where 24 people applied and he was the only one not hired. He was a small, gangly English teacher with no background in technology. A lesser person might have taken that as a definitive sign to quit, to accept that his lot in life was simply to survive, not to thrive. But for Ma, his hardships were a profound crucible for his legendary discipline and his unwavering determination. He channeled the pain and the hunger of his past into an insatiable hunger to win, to fight, and to build a better life for himself and his family. He proved that true genius isn't an innate gift you are born with, but the relentless, unexcused pursuit of a higher calling, a fierce refusal to accept anything less than his absolute best. He chose to believe that the difference between a life of defeat and a life of victory was not his circumstances, but his will to keep fighting. He chose to fight every single day, every single rejection, every single failure, proving that the only real obstacle is the one you allow yourself to believe in, the one born from a lack of determination. The modern world, with its endless distractions and its subtle encouragement of instant gratification, often allows us to create a smokescreen of busyness and complexity, masking our underlying resistance to genuine effort. This lack of focused effort blurs our clarity, obscures our true vision, and disconnects us from our deepest purpose. When we allow the fear of sacrifice and hard work to paralyze us, our intentions become fragmented, our decisions indecisive, and our actions inconsistent. To truly embrace Ma's philosophy of fighting for your dream, you must cultivate a ruthless clarity about what you want and why you want it, stripping away every non-essential, every justification for delay. Your vision must be so vivid, your purpose so compelling, that the sheer force of it incinerates the temptation to give up. Think of the immense pressure Ma faced throughout the early days of Alibaba, particularly during the dot-com bubble bust. The odds were, by any conventional metric, completely stacked against him. He was a newcomer in a field dominated by massive government-funded aerospace companies. His own employees believed it was impossible to succeed after so many failures. But for Ma, his mindset was one of pure, unadulterated recovery. His purpose to make it easier for small businesses to do business anywhere was a powerful catalyst. But his true vision was in the journey itself, in the relentless discipline of getting back to the drawing board, of training harder, of refining his designs, and of confronting the immense psychological pressure of a devastating loss. His actions in those moments were a masterclass in resilience, a defiant refusal to let the narrative of a loss become the story of his career. He proved that a true champion isn't defined by the number on the trophy, but by the fire that ignites after a defeat, by the unyielding commitment to keep fighting for a dream, no matter how long it takes. This is where transformative action truly begins, not when you feel perfect or ready, but when you simply choose to begin armed with unwavering intent. The powerful truth is that every day you postpone, every moment you hesitate because of a perceived limitation, is a day you deny yourself the opportunity to prove your own resilience. The ultimate act of self-love, especially after hardship, is the defiant refusal to let your past dictate your future. It's the conscious choice to show up for yourself, to put in the uncomfortable, consistent effort, and to make the necessary sacrifices, knowing that every step, however small, is a step towards liberation. This relentless fight for it approach allows you to channel your energy with surgical precision, eliminating the noise and focusing on the essential, propelling you forward with an almost unstoppable force, turning potential into tangible, measurable progress. The siren song of comfort often leads us to avoid the very discomfort necessary for growth and healing. We seek the path of least resistance, convincing ourselves that ease will lead to success, when in reality it often leads to stagnation and a perpetuation of old patterns. But to truly embody Ma's philosophy, you must embrace the uncomfortable of fearless confrontation with the very things you've been excusing yourself from. This kind of courageous engagement fosters unshakable resilience. Resilience isn't a passive trait, it's an active process forged in the crucible of discomfort, hardened by the consistent decision to lean into challenges rather than retreat from them. It's the muscle that develops when you consistently choose courage over comfort, effort over ease. Consider the immense strength required to come back from profound disappointment, as Ma did after the failures of his early companies like China Pages. Now, the conventional wisdom might have been for him to retire, to focus on his other ventures, to accept that his dreams were too big, too audacious, but his internal mindset was one of pure effort and commitment. He had a deep primal gratitude for the opportunity to push himself, to keep fighting for a dream that was bigger than himself. This gratitude was not for the failures themselves, but for the raw capacity to endure, to learn from every mistake, to get up every single morning and choose to fight again. He didn't dwell in self-pity. He embraced the uncomfortable reality of his new path. And in that process, he developed an unparalleled mental toughness and a renewed hunger that ultimately led him to a series of stunning victories, including his ultimate goal of becoming a global media mogul. He proved that even a history of failures, even a devastating loss, can be a profound part of a greater journey, a necessary crucible for forging the strength required to reach the ultimate prize. This "if you don't give up" philosophy fundamentally shifts your relationship with difficulty. You stop seeing obstacles as reasons to stop and start seeing them as opportunities to discover untapped strength, as crucial steps in the journey of transformation. Your willingness to lean into the discomfort, to push past the fear of impossibility is what ultimately differentiates those who simply hope from those who truly thrive, who emerge from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more powerfully aligned with their purpose. The insidious nature of the fear of failure is that it creates a comfortable cage, limiting our adaptability and preventing us from evolving. We become rigid, resistant to change because change often demands stepping into the unknown, a place where effort is not only possible but likely. But to truly embody Ma's philosophy is to embrace relentless adaptability. It's about cultivating an internal compass so strong, a sense of purpose so unshakable that you can navigate any terrain, adjust to any shift, and innovate beyond any obstacle, transforming challenges into opportunities. Your willingness to shed old fears and embrace new risks, unburdened by the paralysis of what if it's too hard, becomes your greatest competitive advantage. This fierce commitment to growth fuels a relentless drive for learning. Every setback isn't a defeat, it's a lesson, a puzzle to be solved, a new skill to acquire. Every moment of discomfort becomes a classroom, pushing you to expand your knowledge, refine your strategies, and deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. Think of the evolution of Alibaba, from a small electric car company to a global giant. Ma didn't simply rely on his initial vision. He embodied the fierce commitment to learning and adaptability, constantly refining his approach, driven by an unyielding purpose to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. His "if you don't give up" philosophy manifested not just in his spectacular cars, but in his unselfish dedication to his training, his tireless work off the ball, his dedication to the team. He was willing to sacrifice personal glory for collective success, understanding that the ultimate dream required a different kind of effort, a different kind of work hard for it. This unyielding dedication, this profound immersion in his craft, cultivates a wisdom that can only come from direct, intense, and sustained engagement with your chosen domain. When you truly internalize the fight for it philosophy, you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them, one arduous, intentional step at a time. Your actions become infused with a purposeful intensity, a quiet power born from the understanding that progress is always earned, never given. It's the fearless acceptance that the most profound triumphs often arise from the most unlikely starting points, when fueled by an uncompromising will to simply put in the effort and make the sacrifices required. So if you felt the crushing weight of past trauma, if loss has left you feeling hollow, or if major setbacks have convinced you that your moment has passed, hear this truth etched into the very fabric of Jack Ma's unparalleled legacy. Your dream is not a gift. It is a prize to be earned, a battle to be fought, a masterpiece to be built with your own hands, with your own sacrifices, with your own hard work. Your past does not own your future. Your current circumstances are not your permanent address. The only thing standing between you and the life you yearn to live is the courage to believe, the willingness to fight, even when the outcome is uncertain. Embrace the fierce mindset that declares, "My success is my responsibility and I will earn it." Cultivate an unshakable belief in your inherent capacity to heal, to rebuild, to rise, knowing that your internal power is boundless. Seek clarity not in waiting for a guaranteed outcome, but in the deliberate, courageous act of stepping forward into the unknown, allowing your path to illuminate itself with each committed step, driven by an unyielding vision of your highest self. Let your profound purpose be the blazing sun that melts away all doubts and illuminates every path forward, consuming any shadows of regret or hesitation. Embrace discipline as your greatest ally, the consistent, unapologetic choice to show up for yourself, to do the uncomfortable work, to take the necessary action day after relentless day. Cultivate gratitude for the raw strength you discover within yourself, for the wisdom gained through hardship, for the scars that tell your story of survival and triumph, and for the sheer privilege of being an active participant in your own magnificent comeback. Build adaptability by training your mind to embrace change, to pivot with purpose, and to innovate under pressure, making fluidity your ultimate strength. And commit to lifelong learning, recognizing that every obstacle, every moment of discomfort is a classroom designed to make you stronger, wiser, and more capable, constantly expanding your boundaries and pushing the limits of what you thought possible. The world doesn't need your hesitation, it needs your heroic action, it needs your effort, it needs the extraordinary person you're capable of becoming. Your greatest triumphs, your deepest healing, your most profound fulfillment await you on the other side of that courageous decision to fight, to sacrifice, and to work hard for it. It's time to stop wishing and start earning. The journey begins now.
Your heart whispers of surrender, but your soul, if you listen closely, still remembers the roar. This isn't just a fleeting thought, a casual suggestion to try harder. This is a primal echo from the deepest chambers of your being, a reminder of the raw, untamed spirit that brought you this far, that navigated countless previous storms, even when you thought the very breath would leave your body. There are moments, aren't there, when the very air feels heavy, thick with the dust of shattered dreams and the echo of what-ifs. We stand at the precipice, gazing into the chasm of our losses, our failures, the betrayals that etched themselves onto our very being with a permanence that feels absolute. The world, in those moments, can seem relentlessly cruel. A cosmic jest designed to highlight our inadequacies, to rub salt into the open wounds of our disappointments. We feel the creeping tendrils of despair, the subtle, insidious seduction of simply letting go, of ceding the fight, of accepting defeat as an inevitable conclusion. The voices in our heads, or those insidious saboteurs, whisper with a chilling certainty, you're not strong enough. You're not smart enough. You're not capable enough. You're simply not enough. They tell us our best days are irrevocably behind us, that the well of our resilience has run bone dry, that every subsequent effort is destined for the same crushing futility. They point to the accumulating scars, the lingering wounds, the monumental, crushing weight of accumulated disappointment, and declare, with a finality that aims to shatter all hope, that this is the undisputed, undeniable end of our story. But what if those whispers, those chilling pronouncements of inadequacy, are merely distorted echoes of a past that no longer defines you? What if, in fact, the very act of listening to them, of giving them power, is the most profound betrayal of the magnificent, indomitable spirit that still resides, vibrant and pulsing within the very core of your being? What if, in this very moment, as the urge to quit gnaws at your resolve with relentless persistence, you are standing on the most critical cusp of your most profound awakening? This isn't a motivational cliche. It's a deep truth buried beneath layers of societal conditioning and personal trauma. It's the realization that the narrative you tell yourself about yourself is the most powerful force in your universe, and you, and only you, hold the pen. The narrative of defeat, of resignation, is a choice, and so is the narrative of relentless, unwavering resurgence. Consider the intricate tapestry of human endeavor, a masterpiece woven not from effortless triumphs, but from countless threads of relentless persistence, of unwavering belief against all odds. Take Thomas Edison, a name that has become synonymous with invention, innovation, and breakthrough. Yet, his journey was not a linear ascent to glory. He faced not a handful of rejections, but literally thousands of documented failures before the incandescent light bulb flickered to life, transforming the very concept of night and day. Imagine the sheer weight of skepticism, the cynical ridicule, the countless moments of profound, soul-crushing self-doubt that must have assailed him day after arduous day, year after grueling year. Yet, with a clarity that bordered on prophetic, he famously declared, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 ways that won't work." This wasn't some empty bravado, some superficial attempt to spin a negative into a positive. It was a profound, deeply ingrained understanding of the iterative nature of all progress. A stoic refusal to equate a temporary setback with an ultimate surrender. He understood, with a genius far beyond his contemporaries, that each failure was not a dead end, but merely a precise data point, a critical refinement, an indispensable step closer to the ultimate solution. His laboratory was not a graveyard of shattered hopes and discarded prototypes, but a vibrant, pulsating cathedral of tireless experimentation. Each broken filament, a lesson painstakingly learned. Each extinguished spark, a valuable whisper of indispensable insight. He didn't just invent. He persisted with a ferocity that defied logical explanation. He didn't just try. He committed his entire being to the pursuit. And that unwavering commitment, that unshakable, defiant belief in the sheer possibility of success, even in the face of overwhelming, crushing evidence to the contrary, is the very bedrock upon which all true transformation, all lasting achievement, is meticulously built. It's the conviction, deep within your bones, that the path ahead, though currently obscured by the densest of shadows, still exists, waiting for your footsteps. It's the defiant, powerful whisper in the face of overwhelming adversity. Not yet. Not today. Not ever. My story isn't finished. Now, let your mind turn to Abraham Lincoln, a man whose life, from its humble beginnings to its tragic end, was a brutal, relentless gauntlet of personal tragedy and political defeat. He endured the crushing loss of loved ones, suffered multiple devastating failures in business, experienced debilitating nervous breakdowns, and faced numerous disheartening electoral losses before he finally, against all odds, ascended to the presidency during the nation's darkest and most perilous hour. The unimaginable weight of the Civil War, the immense and horrifying human cost, the very real existential threat of the Union's permanent dissolution. Any single one of these monumental burdens would have utterly crushed a lesser spirit, driven even the strongest to despair. Yet, Lincoln, with his profound, melancholic wisdom and quiet, unyielding strength, persevered with a resolve that defied comprehension. He didn't allow his excruciating personal suffering to become a public spectacle of self-pity or debilitating despair. Instead, with an almost alchemical grace, he transmuted it into a wellspring of profound empathy, into an unwavering, resolute commitment to a higher, more noble purpose. His resilience wasn't a performative act designed for public approval, but a deeply ingrained, almost spiritual understanding that the cause he championed was infinitely greater than himself, greater than any individual setback, any personal agony. He understood with a clarity that cut through the fog of war that the darkest nights, the most despairing moments, often, almost invariably, precede the most brilliant, most transformative dawns, and that our deepest, most agonizing wounds, when tended with meticulous care, profound introspection, and unwavering purpose, can become the very wellspring of our greatest, most enduring strengths. Your own setbacks, your own moments of utter despair are not the definitive end of your narrative. They are, in fact, the fiercely hot crucible in which your true, unyielding character is forged. The raw, unpolished material for your next, most magnificent and transcendent iteration. Do not shy away from the heat. Embrace it, for it purifies and strengthens the insidious whispers of "I can't," those self-defeating narratives that echo in the quiet chambers of your mind are often just faint, distorted echoes of past conditioning, narratives subtly imprinted upon us by painful experiences, or even, paradoxically, by well-meaning but fundamentally misguided voices from our past. We unconsciously internalize these perceived limitations, accepting them, often without question, as immutable, unchangeable truths, when in reality, they are merely ephemeral constructs of our own minds, flimsy prison bars forged from fear and doubt. Imagine Henry Ford, a titan who didn't just invent the automobile, but revolutionized an entire industry, not through a singular stroke of genius, but by relentlessly refining its production, making it accessible and affordable to the vast masses, thereby democratizing mobility itself. He faced wave after wave of ridicule, suffered numerous crushing financial setbacks, and battled the deeply ingrained skepticism of a world comfortably accustomed to horses and carriages, a world resistant to such radical change. Yet, he held an unshakable vision, a clarity of purpose that transcended the immediate, daunting challenges, a clarity that bordered on an almost spiritual certainty. He didn't perceive daunting problems. He saw boundless opportunities for profound innovation, for elegant simplification, for a demonstrably better, more efficient way. His genius wasn't solely in the mechanical marvel of the assembly line, but in his unwavering, almost messianic belief in its ultimate potential. A belief so potent, so contagious, that it fundamentally reshaped the very fabric of global society, forever altering the landscape of industry and individual freedom. He understood, with an intuitive brilliance, that limitations often exist solely within the confines of the mind, and that by courageously challenging those self-imposed boundaries, those invisible walls we construct around ourselves, we inevitably unlock vast, previously unimaginable reservoirs of potential we never even knew existed within us. Your own mind, that incredible, complex, and extraordinarily powerful instrument, holds the absolute key, not only to your current struggles, but to your ultimate liberation, your profound blossoming, the thoughts you consciously choose to cultivate, the empowering beliefs you deliberately choose to nourish and strengthen, are the ultimate architects of your future reality. Will you continue to meticulously build monuments to your past defeats, cementing them into your present? Or will you, with audacious courage, lay the foundational stones for a future so vibrant, so limitless, so inherently audacious, that it defiantly defies every single prior expectation and limitation? The choice, unequivocally, is yours. This transformative journey, your uniquely personal journey, is not, and never has been, about miraculously avoiding the inevitable storms that life will undoubtedly send your way. Instead, it is about gracefully, powerfully learning to dance, to thrive, right in the midst of the most torrential rain. It's not about somehow escaping the pervasive darkness that can sometimes envelop us, but about fearlessly discovering, cultivating, and nurturing the radiant inner light that paradoxically shines brightest, most powerfully, when surrounded by the deepest, most profound shadows. It's about arriving at a deep, visceral understanding that every single challenge you encounter is not a punishment, but a profound invitation to grow. Every setback is not a failure, but an invaluable lesson painstakingly learned. And every moment of profound despair, however agonizing, is simply a crucial prelude to a deeper, more enlightened understanding of your own incredible, boundless strength. You possess an innate, almost incomprehensible inner fortitude, a vast, untapped wellspring of raw power that can and will carry you through any trial, enable you to overcome any seemingly insurmountable obstacle, and ultimately transform any perceived ending into a magnificent, triumphant new beginning. The very act of reading these words, of allowing them to penetrate and resonate deeply within your soul, is in itself a powerful testament to that innate, inextinguishable desire to rise, to transcend, to become the fullest, most authentic, and most powerful expression of who you are inherently meant to be. Do not give up. Not now, not ever, for the greatest, most exhilarating, and most profoundly fulfilling chapters of your story are still waiting, patiently, for you to bravely pick up the pen and write them with unwavering conviction into existence. And as you stand on the cusp of this new chapter, remember the wisdom of those who came before, not as mythical figures, but as human beings who wrestled with their own demons, faced their own formidable giants, and emerged not unscathed, but undeniably stronger. Think of Walt Disney, whose initial ventures were fraught with bankruptcy and creative disappointments. He was told he lacked imagination, that his ideas were impractical, that he wouldn't succeed. Yet, he clung to a vision of wonder, a dream of bringing joy and escape to millions. His resilience wasn't about avoiding failure, but about learning from each stumble, about understanding that rejection was simply redirection. He didn't just build an empire, he built a world. He understood that clarity of vision, when coupled with unwavering belief, becomes an unstoppable force. Your own vision, however hazy it may seem now, holds the blueprint for your future. Don't let the noise of the world or the echoes of your past obscure its potential. Nurture it, refine it, And then, with courage, begin to build. This journey of transformation is not about a sudden, miraculous leap, but a steady, persistent walk, one step after another, even when the path is shrouded in fog. It's about cultivating discipline, not as a punitive master, but as a loving guide. Discipline is the quiet, consistent commitment to your own well-being, to your growth, to your highest aspirations. It's the act of showing up for yourself, even when motivation wanes, even when the temptation to revert to old patterns is strong. It's the daily ritual of nurturing your mind, body, and spirit, knowing that these small, seemingly insignificant acts compound over time into monumental shifts. Discipline is the unseen scaffolding that supports the grand architecture of your dreams. It's the difference between a fleeting aspiration and a tangible reality. Without it, even the most brilliant ideas remain confined to the realm of potential. With it, the impossible begins to bend to your will. And from discipline flows action, because a vision, however profound, and a belief, however fervent, remain inert until they are animated by movement. Action is the bridge between the internal world of intention and the external world of manifestation. It's the courage to take that first terrifying step, even when you can't see the entire staircase. It's the humility to start small, to stumble, to learn, and to keep moving forward. Napoleon Hill, the great philosopher of success, emphasized that desire is the starting point of all achievement. Not a hope, not a wish, but a keen pulsating desire which transcends everything. But even desire, no matter how keen, must eventually translate into tangible effort. The greatest minds, the most impactful lives, are not defined by their thoughts alone, but by their unwavering commitment to translating those thoughts into deeds. Your life is not a spectator sport. It's an arena, and your purpose calls you to step into it fully and bravely. Every small act of courage, every single effort, no matter how minor it seems, is a ripple that contributes to the tidal wave of your future. The key is to start and then to keep starting, day after day, in myriad small ways. As you embrace action, cultivate gratitude. It may seem counterintuitive when faced with hardship, but gratitude is not about ignoring your pain or dismissing your struggles. It is about actively seeking out the pockets of light, the embers of hope, the lessons disguised as challenges. It's about acknowledging the strength you've gained, the wisdom you've accumulated, the subtle blessings that persist even in the darkest hours. Gratitude is an antidote to despair, a powerful lens that shifts your perspective from what is lacking to what is abundant. It's a profound recognition that even in loss, there are lessons. Even in pain, there is growth. When you practice gratitude, you are not denying reality. You are expanding your reality to include possibilities that fear often obscures. It's a fundamental energetic shift that pulls you away from the magnetic pull of victimhood and towards the empowering realm of agency. This shift in perspective is not merely psychological, it is profoundly spiritual, opening you to a deeper connection with the wellspring of life itself. Life, however, is rarely a straight line. It is a serpentine path full of unexpected twists and turns, sudden detours, and abrupt dead ends. This is where adaptability becomes not just a virtue, but a fundamental survival skill, a superpower in a rapidly changing world. The ability to pivot, to adjust, to let go of what is no longer serving you is paramount. Think of nature itself. The mighty oak that withstands the storm by bending, not breaking. The river that carves new paths around obstacles, never ceasing its flow. Adaptability is about embracing uncertainty, seeing change, not as a threat, but as an opportunity for reinvention. It's about releasing the rigid need for things to be just so, and instead, embracing the fluidity of existence in a world that is constantly shifting beneath our feet. Clinging to outdated maps or rigid plans is a recipe for stagnation and despair. Instead, cultivate a beginner's mind, a willingness to learn anew, to experiment, to innovate, and to trust that even when the landscape changes, your inner compass remains true. Your capacity to adapt is directly proportional to your capacity for peace and sustained progress. Finally, this journey culminates in continuous learning. The world is an infinite classroom, and life is its greatest teacher. Every experience, every interaction, every success, and especially every perceived failure holds a lesson. The truly empowered individuals are those who approach life with an insatiable curiosity, a willingness to be wrong, and an open heart to new information and perspectives. They understand that stagnation is the true enemy, and that growth is a lifelong pursuit. Learning is not confined to textbooks or formal institutions. It is found in quiet contemplation, in deep reflection, in courageous self-assessment. It's found in listening more than you speak, in observing the world with a keen eye, and in remaining humble enough to admit what you don't know. Your greatest breakthroughs will often come from unexpected sources, from uncomfortable truths, from the willingness to question your own assumptions. Embrace the beginner's mind, for it is in this posture of humility that true wisdom begins to unfold, revealing paths you never knew existed, illuminating possibilities that were previously beyond your sight.